Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to today's panel discussion on leading in the age of AI. We are very excited to have an incredible set of leaders with us today who bring diverse perspectives across technology, business, and people leadership. So let me quickly introduce our panelists for today. Our first panelist, Mr. Akhil Pulvarthi, Deputy Manager L&D at All Cargo Logistics, who brings a strong experience in driving technology-led transformation and innovation. Akhil has been actively working at the intersection of AI, digital transformation, and business impact, helping organizations adapt to rapidly evolving tech landscapes. So his perspective on how leaders can practically leverage AI in business will be extremely valuable for today's discussion. Hi, Mr. Akhil.
Thank you so much, Marty, for that brief introduction.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm happy to be
next,
part of that.
yeah, thanks. So next we have Mr. Harish Datta, Senior Manager, HRBP, Eurofins Consumer Product Testing India, a seasoned leader with extensive experience in enterprise leadership, business strategy, and organizational transformation. Harish brings a strong understanding of how leadership needs to evolve in dynamic environments, especially with AI reshaping decision making and operations. Welcome, Mr. Harish, sir, for the session. So we also have Mr. Madhu, Learning and Development Manager at Online Instruments, who has been closely involved in people practices, learning and organization development. Madhu brings a very important lens on how AI is impacting talent, capability building, and the future of work, which is critical for leaders today. So welcome, Mr. Madhu.
Hi, thank you.
So joining us as well is Mr. Manish Dwivedi, lead strategy in Tem Labs, who brings deep experience in business leadership and technology driven transformation. Manish has worked extensively on aligning business strategy with emerging technologies and will share insights on how leaders can stay relevant and future ready. Welcome, Mr. Manish.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Welcome.
And moderating today's discussion, we have Mr. Mrityunjay, Senior Enablement Manager at Avalara, who brings strong experience in business leadership and facilitating meaningful conversation around the transformation and growth. He'll be guiding us through today's discussion and ensuring we get most out of this diverse panel. Welcome, Mr. Mrityunjay.
Hi, guys.
So with that, I think we should get started. To set the context, I would like to invite moderator Mr. Mrityunjay to take it forward and kick off the discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for wonderful introductions, Veer. And welcome, everyone. Good morning to all. Good afternoon, wherever you guys are right now. Just quickly kicking this off. I know nobody's here to listen to us and our long introduction. So I'll just quickly kick this off straight towards the topic. AI is moving really fast, faster than most of us can even update our LinkedIn skills section, right? But here's the real tension. AI capability is growing fast, organization capability is not. And the gap is what we are here to talk about today, right? Everyone should agree to that. And we'll keep this real, less jargons, more honesty, and hopefully maybe a few uncomfortable truths here and there. Yeah. So the introductions were really great. And let's start with what's actually happening, not what reports or headlines are telling us, right? So starting with, like an open question to the panel, I would want to go ahead and ask everyone this. So AI is here, but capability seems to be playing catch up. Like most of us are trying to understand a new update or anything like that. Is the gap technical or is it people saying this sounds great, but I'll figure it out next quarter? Or maybe are managers ready, or are they still hoping this is just another trend that will, soon settle down in a while? And it's an open question to the panel, so anyone can go for this answer.
All right. To just start off with, hi, good afternoon to everyone. So let us just first, see what actually is happening in and around. We all from either from manufacturing setup or from the service background, all for that matter. The one which is really hitting us more in the service sector. So let us typically see, how things are changing on a day-to-day activities. Okay. So a year or two, going around, what a typical day would be like, a person would be doing at office, writing emails, preparing some reports, summarizing the data, or, coordinating or making some building decks per se. But what is happening along, when AI is just quietly seeping in all of those activities, what actually is happening and how things are changing. So these jobs, which were, typically taking us, 3 to 4 hours of our 8 hours job, is now getting crashed into around about 20 to 30 minutes activities. And that's what, things are changing. We are producing less time producing contents, and more time what we are evolving is in fact reviewing those tasks, reviewing or refining those, and making more towards the decision making. So these small things what we see on the face of it is just the beginning, and it's just the start of the bigger change what we are actually getting pulled into. Are we designing the work itself, or the organizations which are actually getting geared up or getting prepared of is what we are going to talk. So let us also see, a couple of realistic examples from the industries, how things are happening. So typically, let us take one example to understand from the BFSI environment or from any customer service or for that matter, because I belong from a service oriented setup. So let us see on day to day like a customer support life how it was. So typically 60 to 70% of the job or the work what a customer service person would be doing is handling basic queries, documentation checkup, or even some kind of activities related to query handling queries and all. So what's happening? The AI is slowly taking away all these activities and even going a step further and being able to handle a little bit of sentimental detection on those people and able to support by virtue of chatbots or by virtue of different moods. So, what is happening to the human role? The question is for us to understand here. It's not the efficiency which is getting hampered, it is a fundamental role of the work which is getting rewritten here. So, somebody is coming and challenging the status quo or the work or how it was being done. And that is where the things are getting changed or things are getting questioned which were not being questioned or which were not happening, or the technology's evolution, what has happened in the past, has really not challenged the status quo in a way which AI is doing so. So, what is happening? What is getting disappeared is basically are the roles getting disappeared? The answer typically would be no. So what is happening to the human role? It is getting evolved. I mean, it's evolving at a pace in which even one can think about. The job from technical query handling or documentation, it is evolving to handling the high stress stakes conversations or even managing such critical conversations related to emotionally charged situations where customer is bumping on them and really spending those time in handling those critical players or trying to solve their other kind of queries which the AI might not be able to, and that gets routed to them. So that's where the role is shifting from a typical process executor to a judgmental specialist role. So that's the change what we are seeing in terms of the kind of role shift what is happening. Let us also see another example, this time from maybe FMCG or for that matter. Let us understand the kind of speed what it is happening or how that is making a change in our environment. The research agencies which used to take I would say months or weeks to do market reviews or market surveys and analysis, now that is being done in maybe 2 days or 3 days time, which was initially taking research or marketing agencies months or weeks to do the job. So what is actually happening? Is it the time frame which is changing or the speed? I think it is a little bit more than that. It's more like, the decision making cycles, what is happening is getting collapsed. And that's where there is a capability shift which is happening. And we are being questioned to think about our fundamental way of, how we are thinking or how we are performing.
I absolutely agree to all of this, but let me ask this directly, okay? Let me just direct this question to the entire panel. Are we overestimating how ready organizations actually are, or underestimating how much change this really needs? Because when Harish spoke about bringing AI into a normal, let's say, an agent role, right? We are bringing maybe something like a chat agent, or a chatbot, where this chatbot is actually going ahead and answering his daily job needs or is helping him to carry out his daily job role. So are we, overestimating how ready organizations are? Is this skill gap really closed between what the high level initiatives are and how the agents would use the AI agent? Or is it like underestimating how much change we actually need?
See, to be honest, let me go. So, to be honest, the organizations are not ready. Even if the organizations are ready, the manpower is not ready. The manpower is not trained enough. Just to give you a context, you know, in early 2024, when ChatGPT was ruling the roost, half of the organization used to ban ChatGPT, right? We all have a prejudice of people writing things down from ChatGPT, so AI set up there. So that's the back of the mind that today the notion is changing. Now today ChatGPT has evolved. ChatGPT Go has come in at a very affordable price. Gemini is here. How many of our manpower is able to make custom GPTs? Let us not talk about agents. We are just talking about custom GPTs and buds. How many people are gems that we talk about, Gemini gems? How many people are able to do it? We're talking about chat bots. People will not be able to train the chatbots. Leave about other things. This is something, a reality with one of the top conglomerate today in India. They might take up the licenses after 2 years. 2 years is too late. 2 years is too late. And I would not like to name the company, but it is too late. The manpower, and again, it is about your interest, how you are, or as a employer, as an individual, how you want to. Last year, we were talking about prompt engineering. Today, prompt engineering is not there. There are apps which are ready to make your prompts beautiful, right? It is ready to make it. It is doing your work for you. Today, it has shifted from generative AI to agentic AI. We are not ready for agentic AI, and we are not ready for generative AI, and we are talking about agentic AI. So it's about the leadership also to think. The leaders have to think that how I need to direct my forces. So that is something that I want to say, and let the panel discuss. Yeah.
Right. So I'll go next. Well, what I think is the impact that AI could do out there is very large to be confined to the scope of a single organization or a single industry. So, having said that, I think I'll take the approach of looking at the trends that I've been observing and based on my interactions with the peers in the L&D domain. Uh, More often, the noises around how AI is accelerating movements through the business models. So we understand that all organizations operate in a business model, and a business model is typically a set of choices, and for every choice, there's a consequence, right? And between these choices and consequences lies the human intervention where decisions are to be made. Right? The pace at which the decisions are being made today, that decision making time frame is shrinking. Now, to answer your first question, Mrityunjay, is it technical problem or is it a mindset problem? Right. So I I would say the struggle is less technical, and it's more of a behavioral thing that I see with the people managers today. Now, over time, how just see how things have evolved, right? So leaders used to be the source of information, and leaders also used to be the source for answers. But with AI stepping in, all those competitive things have come down. They've sort of leveled out. Now the challenge is it's not about who is the most senior in the organization who I can reach out to. It's about who can validate the output that the AI is generating for me, right? It's about making faster decisions. And what I'm seeing is the tools are being adopted faster. And if you ask me, are people's behaviors evolving at the same pace? That is still a area of improvement, I would say. Now, managers are not struggling with using AI, but The struggling is actually with uh, handling teams that can use AI, right? That's where I'd like to take a pause.
So, just to add to what Akhil just mentioned, what's that first thing that fails in your organization when your organization is actually trying to scale AI? I mean, a lot of people want, or a lot of organization want to name themselves as AI first organization, right? I mean, that's where everyone is threading to right now. So I wanted to ask, Madhu has been silent for a while, so I would want to ask this to Madhu. Madhu, where do you think, is that first thing that's actually failing in an organization when they're trying to scale this on a higher level? I mean, let's everyone start using ChatGPT, and let's everyone start making bots. So where is that first failure coming into place?
So, yeah. So, in terms of, let me go from the basic, to understand from the learning perspective of AI. As a human being, we have been bestowed with certain intelligence. That's how we are pioneering in mathematics or, science or social science or whatever it is. So, for this artificial intelligence, now, even Oxford University for 2024, the word of the year, it has given brain rot.
Hmm.
So the brain rot is nothing but we have, made the word this AI, everyone talks about AI. But if you ask specifically to someone, what is it, what defines to your role, what defines to your, work culture and to your behavior, the answer is no. Today we see beautiful, resumes that a skill set is so high on a person. But in reality, when we check from the HR perspective as well, that doesn't coincide, right? So out of the seven intelligence, people should take it as a normal sense of what it is. When I say we are bestowed with seven intelligence, the entire human being on this planet, right? We have academic intelligence, we have aesthetic intelligence, we have kinesthetic intelligence, we have mathematics, we have mechanical, we have social, we have linguistic. So there are seven. So consider one as an art, the other one is artificial intelligence, right? So what happens basically, the first question that you have raised, is it a mindset or a technical, challenge? So I stand in between. It is both the ways. I could see people were struggling on the technical side to adapt it, and people were struggling in the mindset wise. So I look at this in a psychological way, wherein our brain, how it works, right brain and the left brain. If I give you an idea, the left brain thinks of logical, completely reasoning, and my right brain thinks completely of, emotional or creativity or aesthetic arts. So what the speed that we have seen in the organizations when this has come into an implementation, the people were faster in their left brain, they are so much interested in learning these concepts and utilizing it, right? The man behind, the father of AI, Mr. Alan Turing, who was just alive for 41 years on this earth, whose IQ was very high. He was that, very faster in his IQ level in terms of mathematics, logic. That's why he was capable of, right? So when you talk about, is AI high or, human thinking is high, almost like we had Shakuntala Devi, right? The human computer in 70s itself. And we had the technology man. So being an Indian for us, the technology trait or artificial intelligence is in our DNA. It's just that we need to stimulate, right? Anybody can learn and do that. Now, the companies are facing both the shifts. Now, maybe my top management is very much interested to the competitive edge of other competitors to introduce this and that, for example. Then what happens basically is that whether your force is ready to adapt it. So the real gap lies where I inculcate, what it needs, why it needs, and how it works with you. So the basic, education we are still lacking. That's what I'm coming in. So the Oxfam, report of India 2023 talks about the 31% of rural people still doesn't know about the digitization or the internet. So the known factor is only the 67%. So right from digitization coming to the extent of AI, we are, just like an ECG fluctuating. Some are high, some are low, right? So to this knowledge, every house should have one person, And the organizations that we have today, the talent, so a person is good at something but not able to incorporate. So it is a high time for every one of us first to instill in the basic knowledge of AI. It is, not a rocket science. It is a simple thing. We need to adapt. It is becoming our, day-to-day prospect of life as an intelligence, just like other intelligence.
So just piggybacking on that, I mean, are we really trying to solve a thinking problem by creating a training program, or is it a mindset shift altogether, like what Madhu said, right? I mean, it depends on how people think, it depends on how their brain operates, it depends on how they would want to imbibe AI into their daily working. So where do we right now stand in this behavior shift? That is something that I would want to understand, or even want to let people understand in a broader group, that where exactly is this behavior shift right now?
See,
Anyone can take this.
I would like to mention one thing related to the kind of things is happening from two perspectives. One from obviously the leaders who are driving the show, and second is also from the employee perspective and understand how or where we are leading from the training and developing, where organizations sometimes spending too much, actually not getting too much of a return related to it, and not actually getting the value of it. So if you see from the leader perspective, typically three things are being coming up. Number one is they are either over relying on something where they are getting too fast two things, and they are actually in an ambiguous state whether to choose A or choose B or choose C, or how to go about it, and they are getting confused somewhere. And it's the discomfort what they are facing, and that's where sometimes the decision making is becoming a challenge. Earlier the scenario was not, maybe two three people sitting, they may be bringing out one solution out, and that's what is rolled out. Now they have multiple options, even something which they were not thinking, they have that option in front of them. So that
So
is something which they are not actually getting geared up for. And
just
second, we also need to understand from our traditional, like if I talk about my parents, or a little between my parents and my our generation, or even the next generation, the kind of working how we have seen in the corporates is more towards the delegation part. I mean, manager says you have to do this, and the guy goes and performs the activity. That itself is changing. I
I
mean,
mean,
either people are, just trusting what they are saying and just following, or they are not even, getting into it. And they say, okay, let it keep aside. We'll perform the way how we are using, and let's, continue the way how we are.
so let
Either
me
they
let
don't
me
trust it or they over trust it.
let me reframe what Harish just wanted to, ask, and also put this up on the broader group, and anyone can take this up again, right? I wanted, with what Harish said, I wanted to know now what's harder right now, learning AI or unlearning how we've been working in the past.
Okay, so I think adoption is not a challenge. That's something that with simple learning intervention, or just give them enough time to get used to a certain tool, that should work, that should do the magic. But what makes the real difference is how that tool is being used. For example, if there's a tool that comes in and says, Akhil, you really need to work on something. The first thing that I would tell the tool as my response is, you better train yourself before you tell me what. Okay. So, for example, just to put things into context, in terms of capability building, let's say if I best of the responsibility of coaching one of my team members to AI, I'm not sure the effectiveness of that tool. But all the AI tools are trained on frameworks which already exist in the market. Okay. Now, if I prompt this AI tool to observe me while I coach one of my team members, and then I ask feedback from it, it has a standard structure over which it evaluates my responses, and then it gives me feedback based on that. Okay, that is where the focus in the to answer your question, the focus shifts from control to clarity. What we are essentially doing is, instead of me being the taker of the brunt of the decisions, let me blame AI. That doesn't work, right? Control cannot be given away. So the focus should shift from control to clarity. And the managers or the organizations who will succeed are the ones who can coach their teams to think. But that's where coaching becomes a crucial skill here. Can I trust AI at its current stage to coach my team? I don't really know. But can I ask AI to give me feedback based on the models that already exist, which are proven? I think that's a yes.
Perfect. I guess Manish also had something to add to this.
Yeah. So, just to add, it's a wonderful thing that Akhil said, that people are open to learn. The new generation is completely open to learn. People who are coming in, they're completely open to learn. They come with they don't have any prejudice. They pick up things very easily. Now, the people who are already into 15, 16 years into a company, there comes a problem. There is the real problem where, adapting is a big problem for them. Um, you said about the art of delegation. The art of delegation is fine, but someone who comes with a certification, AI backed certifications are very easily available. They complete the certification, they come in with great amount of knowledge, and they are good and solid. After the engineering, they come out knowing all the tools, whereas the managers actually grapple big time. They're shallow in the knowledge, they don't know. And that's something where the management has to step in. The levels of knowledge between a fresher today and someone, because his fundamental learning has been from third year and fourth year has been in AI, right? For today's engineers, let us be true. For someone who's 15 years or 16 years, it's a new thing that he's seeing the work is being done quickly. So that's a fundamental change that I observe. Again, yeah. So that's something that I observed. But with a lot of colleges and institutions where I visit, because my product is purely AI driven product. So the prejudice, the students accept it widely. The recruitment solutions are accepted. The Gen Z accept it widely. It's the trainers or the middle management who has it a big time using it. Making workflows, understanding it is something, a big time problem. Making them understand. In a L&D forefront, Akhil, I'm sure you'd be also facing that. I agree with Harish and Madhu. I believe that this is something that I've faced myself with a lot of clients. And again, going down to smaller clouds where blue collar employees. You look at blue collar employees and you want them to train basic communication using a chatbot, where we are doing it already. So it becomes very difficult for them. Where adaptation of technology can't be same in all the places, right? So that's what I want to say.
And now let's dive into the leadership side. Now that we've already opened up to how the new gen is evolving and how the leadership are taking up AI. I had these things. One thing is for sure that tools don't transform organization, and it's people who do that transformation. Slightly inconvenient, but that's true. I mean, uh, I would want to once again, maybe shift our conversation towards what Manish right now said. What's that one thing leaders need to unlearn, not learn, but unlearn, even if they've been doing it successfully for the last 15 years, 15, 20 years, whatever they're learning for? And are we moving from manager as a controller to what Akhil just said, and to manager as a coach? And do people around this manager really like it, or they don't, right? Do they just go back and say that, oh, are you coaching me with just what AI is throwing towards you? Or is this coming from your experience that you're now going ahead and talking something? I mean, it is always not directly spoken to a manager in this way, but it is always there in the back of a mind if somebody is coached. So let's say, for example, I'll just give you a quick and a very fast example. In my organization, if I would want to coach someone um, on their customer facing job role, whatever they are doing right now, And if I go with a action plan, with a coaching action plan, the first thing that comes into their mind is this action plan created by AI, or is it an action plan that's something Mrityunjay has created so that he can go ahead and use his experience and then coach me. So what is that one thing that leaders need to unlearn from that and start doing something else? So it is less about mastering AI tools and more about not becoming the bottleneck yourself, is what I understand right now. And I would want to hear your thoughts as well on this.
See, one point I would like to add here, what I have seen in my organization, I expect, other colleagues would have also, seen through, is the way we are evaluating the performance, specifically from the middle management point of view, because most of the chunk of reportees goes to them, and how it is being evaluated in terms of the performance. And, with AI coming in, obviously, that is actually a big question which has been questioned. Still, we find that the middle management or the managers or the line managers, they are still in the middle of measuring the efforts and the process adherence for the employees, wherein it is the focus, or the next gen which is coming in, they want themselves to be evaluated more from the output of the quality what they are doing, the speed at which they are doing, and the use of AI which they are using and not using in terms of understanding. That somewhere is not where it is valuing, and that is also one of the biggest reason what in HR we call it as attrition is leading to, because as we say, adaptability and sinking and the leaders picking up, they're not ready to learn. Performance also plays a vital role, because once we not able to objectively evaluate, reward, and able to give the value to that person, that is somewhere also pulling things down in a bit in a day-to-day operational cycle. So performance for me is very objective, which current youth focuses on, because what they have learned, obviously they will try to cascade it to the seniors, but the way they are being evaluated is not actually what they have learned is being valued. So that is one gap what I see in a day-to-day operations, what we feel on a practicality, which actually creates a lot of gap, and that creates a challenge within the two set of groups per se.
So what I understand is, or what I get from this is, as a statement, is the real gap capability or courage to change how decisions are made, right? I
Exactly.
mean, that's what I get from what Harish is saying right now, right, Harish?
Yes, yes. It's very simple. I mean, like the leaders are still in a beach of calibrating kind of a mode, and they are trying. I would not say they are not trying, but they are trying. But still, there is a huge gap for them to absorb it. I mean, in terms of the speed at which things are changing. I mean, still they see that okay, no, this guy is sitting and doing work for 12 hours, so he feels more productive than a guy who's using technology, using AI, and being able to finish the job in 8 hours and go home and spend 2 hours with his family. So, I mean, it's still the connotation of performance, which is also one of the parameter which is to be looked into the organizations as a whole, which can, I mean, help us to bridge the gap as a whole. Because if you see the overall context, one challenge what we are facing is the employability skills. For only 45% people who are passing out, in a STEM, whether it is science, technology, maths, or for that matter, or be it economics, or for that matter, they are having employable skills, because even the our education system is not providing them the real problem solving tools where that employability skills are improving, and that's why we need both the gens to come together and work around. But this is where both have to work in tandem and bridge that gap, and that's important.
So my next question is divided into two parts, all right? I wanted to, I mean, this is a reality across. Manager are expected to drive AI adoption, but are they even clear on what good even looks like? Do they even know how good use of AI really looks at a broader level? Do they even know what an MCP server does? What is a large language model? What is a small language model? Do they even know about AI language? Is my first part of the question. And my second part of the question to this is, are we, as the management team, or people who are actually converting organizations and making this AI shift happen, are we setting managers up to lead this, Or are we just expecting them to figure it out on themselves? I mean, where are we there?
Right. So let me take that. So what I've understood from your question is, if it were to be from my perspective, it revolves around capability and relevance. Okay. So first, is adoption really the problem? Do we have managers who are capable of understanding AI, its technical terms, etc.? The first question I'd like to ask is, it's sort of a rhetorical question that I'd like to ask is, do they really need to know? Do managers really need to know these technical terms? For example, if I go to a, a store to purchase an air conditioner, do I need to know what a compressor does, what the compression ratios are, or which gas is being used, what is the CPKG, etc.? That is not required, right? What is actually required, what sort of capability should actually be built for managers is how to use AI to integrate its output within the workflow. That is where the capability gap lies. Now, I have access to AI tools. I have licenses to these AI tools. I know how to use them. But the output that is being generated, is it just making my choices clearer? Or is it also telling me where to include this within the workflow so that the performance improves? So that's where relevance and
Agreed.
capability come
Agreed.
together.
Agreed. But also to piggyback on that, do you think this increases credibility of me as a manager if I go back to my team and say that, this is what an MCP server does.
Okay.
This is what a thinking brain is. This
Hmm.
I'm just I mean, this is what a Monday morning would look like when I am holding a team meeting and telling them, you know what, guys, okay, we are trying to go ahead and adapt this tool
Hmm.
or this new tool, right? What does it do is my job to go ahead and coach my team so that they can later on explore and learn on themselves, right? So,
Hmm.
once again, I mean, are we missing out on the part where we are actually want to give an exposure to all the leaders and show them what good actually looks like? I mean, they don't know right now what good actually looks like. We are just telling them that, go in the market, figure it out, and then go back to your teams and start adopting AI. But how? Right? How is the question? Where is the good model of AI coming from? Who do I look up to?
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I'll just say something here. So it's as Akhil pointed out, it's not that all the managers should be knowing the the full forms of MCP. It's not only about a technical knowledge. I'm not talking about technicalities of a software company or any other company. Let's take it to a basic level of agriculture. There are a lot of agriculture based companies, and the leader has to have that vision. If I'm using or taking an AI tool, maybe Gemini, I'm just taking the name of Gemini. So how it will
Absolutely.
be used? How it will be used by all my managers? What are the benefits 5 years down the line? How am I being productive with that tool? Does all the tools, if slides, if nano banana, if talking about infographics, whether it is making everyone productive, everyone should be able in my team. Now, as he should have a bird's eye view that 5 years from now, that this tool has helped me grow and scale my business up, making chatbots, making gems. He's having that vision. With that vision, he's taking that tool. It can be Claude, it can be Gemini, it can be GPT, it doesn't matter, but he should have that 5 years vision, with his team also, to show that, we've took this as an initiative, and let us learn and let us unlearn. Let us, there a lot of managers have that prejudice. Let us unlearn those things and take a fresh start, and see that 5 years down the line that we are a completely AI skilled man. That's what I look at leaders today. Uh, that's for me, that's for me to answer. And a lot of companies are doing it in South. A lot of companies are doing it. Big companies are doing it. Yeah.
And if we are honest, is this just a priority right now because everyone is talking about AI, or just an important topic?
No, I completely agree. It's high priority. It's priority because see, if you are letting it too late. If you don't start now, it becomes too late. Every week there is a change in your interface of of your Google Gmail, of your Outlook, of your PPT, the way you are making PPTs. There are new tools coming in. So there are new people who are coming in who might replace. People who know AI will definitely do well.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I'm not saying you need to adapt, and it has to be a rapid change. Just last, the first time I spoke, we were talking about prompt engineering today, then generative AI, and today's agentic AI, which is there in a span of 1 year. So we have to adapt, and that's something that we have to be very quick at that. Yeah.
So
And with what
back,
Harish had mentioned, uh,
yeah,
Madhu, I'll just
sure.
piggyback on Harish's question and then come to you. Uh, what Harish had mentioned, that he would want people to leave 2 hours early after AI has done their work. So are organizations measuring this usage, or are we measuring the actual impact? And where do you see a capability gap in that part as well? And Madhu, first I'll take your answer and then we'll move to, this particular answer.
Yeah. I was, about to talk in line with Akhil and Manish. They were coordinating, right? So we see the gap between the manager and again an employee, the gap. So what happening is that, the digital immigrants, those who are above 45, have become the digital immigrants, I could say. So uh, it could be a kind of mindset, and there is both merits and demerits on this side and that side. My Gen Z is able to grasp easily because their education was such, right? When I talk about my, Gen X or Gen Y, these people had that lateral effects. So they are, in limelight to, adapt this. So now what's happening is, today, if a student, maybe a Gen Z or Alpha student, wants to learn some concept, there are different ways. Let's say in physics or chemistry or whatsoever it is, one particular theorem or one particular sum explained in various ways. So when we talk about the 80s and early 90s, what the teacher was teaching in her style or in her methodology, that was the only way to learn. So now, looking at this side and that side, what has happened is, for me, the 80s and early 90s had the concept level of understanding beyond the borders. For this generation, those who are into technical sides, they are learning, they have multiple options to learn, but the beyond concept level understanding is somewhere shrinking. All right. So now, to keep this aligned, when I can say only these guys, the Gen Z part or learning faster, they are bringing an ROI to me, and the early 80s or 80s or early 90s are not bringing in ROI to me, and doesn't negotiate which is high, which is lower side on the other. So now, incorporating or equipping one, at the ultimate cause of it, everybody looks at the ROI in terms of working hours. To us, I can leave since my system has done the work. Definitely, my CEO would ask, if the system has done what you have done, the new methodology out of it. So what is the extra effort that you have put in? Right? When the work is happening, adopting this tool for these many CRs or lakhs, what am I going to get when I'm already getting in?
Agreed.
Yes.
I mean, I every time I think I understand AI, a new update comes out and I'm back to square one. This is what has been happening for the last I don't know how many years. There are a few questions in the chat that I would want to take up to the panel. We often talk about AI transforming work, but at a practical level, at a Monday morning, right? What is that one specific change you have seen in your organization, and where AI has already changed how teams operate day to day? Do you guys have seen anything like that in your own organizations where AI has already changed how teams operate day to day? Anything of those sorts? I'll just start with my organization here and then hand it over to you guys so that I can break the ice. Um, we at Avlara, basically, we believe a lot. I mean, we empowered a lot of people with a lot of AI, honestly, and a lot of training went into it as well. We have tools like N10 that, goes ahead and does all the flow work for you, that is creating an agentic build for an AI. We've given ChatGPT enterprise licenses to all employees. It, I mean, doesn't matter who you are. If you're a part of our organization, you have an enterprise license. As simple as that. We've got Glean agents, we've stepped up when it comes to AI altogether. When I see my Monday newsletters coming in, I see them all automated through flows from N10, right? I see them all. I mean, I'm not talking about the content generation part. I'm talking about the practical work that goes into it. Like me going ahead and putting it in an emailer, then putting all the DGs, then going ahead and sending them to, my peers. Rather than that, my colleague has now created a agentic software or an agentic AI that actually runs all of this in the background. He goes ahead, we he goes ahead, he creates the content draft, he goes ahead and he prepares an emailer, he sends an emailer, gives a summary of all the read receipts and send it as a report, which is amazing. I mean, it just created a 1 hour worth of time saving for him. Now he's got that 1 hour to utilize somewhere else, to what Harish said, right? So, I mean, that is where I have seen change, and there are many more changes. I mean, if I talk about sales teams, they've got their discovery done in a second. I mean, we've got bots that do discoveries in second, right? With our company right now. So I just put in the name of the company and the discovery is right there. Now I'm all prepared to go into my meeting, and I've saved half an hour of doing a discovery call before that. So that is something that has already happened, right? We've got an internal Glean agent that we work in our organization where all resources, you talk about Jira, you talk about Altation, you talk about anything software, Slack, everything is connected to Glean. I just type in, okay, tell me what are the broader initiatives of my company right now, and Glean summarizes all of that for me. Now tell me, how do I incorporate that into my daily working? Happens again. So that is where my company is adapting. I mean, we are adapted AI in our products as well. So that's where we are right now. A lot of tax uses AI right now, is what I would say. So yeah, guys, you can tell me, how's it transformed your orgs, and where do you see this working coming into play?
Okay, so I just want to give a little perspective. So we are not a very tech oriented organization. So it's a laboratory testing kind of a work what we do. But there's a big change to which we have started, and I know that maybe in couple of years or maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, slowly it's going to be a lot of game changing things. And I think you would also be experiencing something of the similar type. What is happening today is that if you see, the basic roles, or for example, if we hire a fresher from the college, maybe 5 years, prior scenario, somewhere about 99 or maybe 2002 or maybe 2005, 8, 9 kind of a scenario, where the person would be coming doing basic analysis, basic testing, basic collation, basic drafting of the reports. These were the fundamental job the person as an entry level would be doing. Now, this jobs currently is being taken over by AI. So this jobs is now being done by AI. Now the question is what that fresher will come and what this person will do. That is what is the idea. They have the skills, but now the scalability, the step is not starting from ground zero, it is starting from level one. And that is what is the first change which is happening. Because typically what we see, we have made a JD, we have put 4 lines, and we will try to hire as per the JD. Now the question mark is that from HR's perspective, that JD is scrapped off. There is no JD, it is the skill set and the adaptability of that person. Because in 1 year time, that person will be able to deliver the same output with different iteration at a shorter possible time and gear up for a 3 years or 5 years old person who has stepped up this ladder and gone to that level. Because this core job which he spent 2 years in that system to grasp and do things is now being taken over by AI. So it has both pros and cons into it in terms of this thing. Organizations feel, or their supervisors feel, no, this person has not done the basic job. How this is, he's going to do, and how do we do this? So that is where maybe HR pulls in and they say how we onboard the talent, how we build the capability, how we create that depth without repeating the old step is what is going to take us to the next level in terms of the pipeline what we build in or the capability what we are building in. So the guys are able to grasp that job, do that job. Senior still looking into the perfection point of view कि भाई error नहीं कर रहा है गलती में, you should not do too many errors, he's still doing errors and all. The idea is that AI does not give a perfect solution. That is something what we all know, and it's a solution which is and tandem to be developed over a period of time where it can give you options, but then it's a time which takes for them to evolve, do a different type of decision making sometimes. I would say calibrate, discuss, fail, learn, unlearn, and then move on. So that's one change what we are seeing with respect to this thing. The scalability obviously is going high, where as I said that the person who was able to do in 3 years or 5 years time, so that gap is getting shortened in our industry what we are seeing, and people are able to grow faster down the ladder. Maybe in 2 years the person from technician they are becoming senior technician because they're able to automate the jobs, get these basic job done faster, and being able to grow faster. So maybe a 2 years person again getting the same capability, same skill, same salary for a person maybe in the system who has joined maybe 5 years back and still struggling somewhere in the middle and somewhat in the middle. So that's the change what I could relate from our industry, what is happening, and maybe other colleagues would like to add on.
Anyone would want to piggyback on what Harish just said?
Yeah. So, as you pointed out, I think a lot of organizations have taken that step in the last couple of years. Just going back a little bit, earlier, to be very honest, as a person, I used to use Fireflies. The first tool that I remember, Fireflies.ai, was the first tool. Then I shifted to Otter. Then I shifted to Read.ai. So these were certain tools that were used and introduced in my organization. With so many tools coming in, it becomes very. I've worked with companies in Saudi as well, so where translation becomes a big issue. So I've seen that part of the world also, where understanding Arab. So I've used tools and used AI. So today in my organization, we are an AI first organization. We solve people for recruitment, by making recruitment solutions, recruitment at 4 clicks, we would say that. So so the first thing that we do is as a JD to CV ranker, that's the first step. There are a lot of automations and a lot of customizations which is available. So today there are many companies that are going for such automations. Like you said about a Monday morning, a typical Monday morning with my older company used to start with the Microsoft Planner and the stand-up meeting. That has moved a long time because of AI giving us the quick summary of what are your to-dos to be done, what are the action points, what are the sentiment and analysis of that last meeting, and current meeting is also coming out with free AI tools. This is talking about free AI tools. So those tools are already in place with many companies, with many
Great,
companies.
great, great. A few more questions in the chat that I see. I mean, where should one of that you guys can take it? Where should leaders draw the line between AI-driven decisions and human decisions? Where do you think is I shouldn't surpass this? And just to keep it on a lighter side, I feel I mean, AI is moving so fast. I'm just hoping that it doesn't start moderating this panel better than me. But, when I say we want to draw a line, so where do we draw a line between AI-driven decisions and human judgment?
Mhm. Well, if I mean, I've only seen AI draft statements which look empathetic, but can it actually exercise empathy? I think that's where the judgment should begin. So it's the integration of data-driven recommendations that AI can give. The
Mhm.
action should always be based on human intelligence. So it's the combination of AI, artificial intelligence and human intelligence is what will work here. That's where a line can be drawn.
Fair. And if you had to advise leaders here on one thing they should start doing from tomorrow to stay relevant in an AI-driven world, what would that be?
Well, I would say the one thing that the organization should stop doing is stop treating AI as a learning intervention. It is a capability and workflow enhancer. So when AI is incorporated into the workflow, it either improves the outcome, thereby which is productivity, or it very quickly showcases the flaws in the system that already exists. Okay, so yes, right, that's one thing. So stop treating AI as a learning intervention alone. Integrate into the workflows to improve productivity. If it doesn't work, it would be the first one to highlight anything that's going wrong. And what should the organization start doing is, in addition to investing in AI, also invest in building managerial capability and especially the competence of decision making skills for people managers, because truly that's where the impact translates into business impact. So that's where.
Fair. That's a good. Anyone wants to piggyback on that?
Yeah, a few areas that I believe that there are still things that, there has to be some amount of ethics that needs to be, pegged in when it comes to, maybe report writing, research work, research writing that we're doing. Let's not do absolute. There's a humanization tool. There. I saw a lot of tools in the market which help students cheat in interviews. So there are a lot of ethical dilemmas with AI as well. The wrong use of AI. One place that I would like to see that there are a lot of chatbots, where with clinical usage today, AI being used as a as a counselor in a lot of organizations, a lot of spaces. So we have to be very careful there. We have to be very, very careful because we are talking about a human mind there, which is definitely superior. So I've driven wellness for my past organization. So and where there were chat bots also in the app. So many wellness apps, mushrooming of these wellness apps, Amaha, CultFit. So they've got these chat bots, AI based chat bots. Human intervention and human touch is required in such places, where I believe that a little bit of it can be a mix of both, but there's still a long way, to counsel a person using AI, right? I think a couple of more years, I think you'd be there, but not now, not immediately. Yeah.
Fair. And with a last question that I would want to take with respect to time. Madhu, you can answer this if you want.
Yes.
Traditional training models are often structured and periodic. How do you see learning in evolving in an AI-driven world where change is continuous?
Yes, we cannot negate the traditional training models. When you talk about ADDIE model or Kirkpatrick or Bloom's taxonomy, everything remains same. How do you analyze, develop, see the reaction in the learning methodology? But the one thing that we have changed is, the style of lecturing that was there in the olden days. Now we are into a kind of storytelling, articulating, and the communication is available so much right now than the, olden era, right? So we can give a lot of examples, and in terms of the powerpoints that we present, there is infographics, right? A lot of tools and the quiz tools on the spot to gauge, and with the speed of accuracy that human brain can answer, there's a lot of evolvement has arisen, but never negating the traditional methodology. We are on the traditional methodologies, but we have seen from the smart networking to AI enabled, it is growing. Yes. And also to add that point, how the organizations are picking up. I'm into an audio visual industry. right? So in 90s, if you talk about, there were projectors and the screen, something was doing it. Today we have the amazing, meeting rooms, training rooms, auditoriums, where when we are talking, the camera is tracking, there is no mic required, mic is there. So how that virtual reality has become a realistic approach, where you being far and I'm being far, we are connected. So this all is the advancement of the artificial intelligence, and we should stand by it, and we need to equip it.
Absolutely. Now let's do some fun. Just before we are closing the entire conversation, we've covered a lot, honestly. We've covered change, we've covered capability gaps, we've covered leadership shifts. Now let's end this with clarity. Okay. One line only, which I know is the hardest thing to ask a panel to answer something in one line. In one line, what will define successful organization in the age of AI? No explanation, no safe answers, just your sharpest take. If it goes beyond one line, I'll interrupt you. Okay, politely but firmly, but I'll interrupt you. All right. I mean, we can start with Harish. I'll just ask the question again. What will define successful organizations in the age of AI? Harish, one line.
Converting intelligence into measurable business value.
Perfect. Madhu,
Being vigilant from the olden tradition to the AI era.
Akhil,
Parallelly building managerial capability.
okay. Manish,
Change is the only constant, so adapt.
perfect. And so AI is not the question anymore. The question is how quickly can organization catch up to it? The shift isn't coming, it is already here. My final tip would be, don't rush this segment, even though, this is uncomfortable, it is tight, it is new for a lot of people. And like we've heard today, organizations that succeed won't be the ones with the best tools, but the ones willing to rethink how they work. Right. So on that note, I would want to hand it over to Mr. Veer again, and then he can, end this wonderful conversation that we had with Jens. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mrityunjay. So thank you all. Thank you very much, to all the panelists for such an insightful and thought-provoking discussion. So I think it was truly valuable to hear diverse perspectives on how AI is reshaping the way we work, lead, and build capabilities for the future. So I hope people have will take some practical insights from this and some new perspectives, taking back to the organization and see, how AI can how they can implement the AI and work towards it. So I again thank all our panelists and Mrityunjay for moderating this session for us. So thank you everybody. So have a good day.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Mrityunjay. Thank you,
Thank
Have a
you.
good
V.
day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Tik.